Hi creators, it's Claire from Stringworth, and the reason I'm holding this up is because I am ready for another Sashiko, but this time I'm going to incorporate some Hitomezashi. Now, Sashiko, if you haven't heard of it, is rice size stitches. It's a Japanese technique used for mending and for decorative work. Hitomezashi uses foundational stitches, and then you kind of weave through those stitches on the surface to create a different look. And I'm really excited to try something new. If you haven't seen this project before, this was 2 years ago, I think, entered into the Country Women's Association competition and won in its embroidery category and went to state. But I'm going to try something different. I'm going to go for more of a sampler style with like tablet. If you've done Sashiko before and you just want some inspiration, stick around because this video will have plenty. So I've decided to use this big frame just to have some fun and picked this lovely kind of dusty blue purple. It's like a blue purple fabric, and with it I'm going to go bold. And I've picked out this peach, neon peach. How good does that look? And then I've picked out this kind of neon sunshine. Like those two are just going to look so good. Such good contrast between the background and those. So that is what I'm going to be stitching with. I may see if I introduce the third colour for the I'll get there. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy watching this stitching. I have almost finished my first tablet that I'm referring to them as, and I just covered this section up with fabric just to keep it nice and clean because my hand does rest on this quite a bit, so this is one way to make sure you keep your canvas clean. So I have finished going every line in one direction, and I just have to come in and finish going in the opposite direction. And I've decided the theme for this Sashiko for me is going to be like bit of optical illusion, mind bending, because if you look closely you'll see the two shapes are kind of interlocking, and it's difficult to pick out where one shape starts and one shape finishes. So I have a second panel prepared on that theme, so I'm going to go and get started with that. My main disappointment is that the colour of the thread hasn't really translated. Like I thought it would be much brighter. Like if I pop this here, like it's much brighter in the floss bunch than when you use it, and that's probably because it's not as, you know, condensed and there's less thread and it's split across the blue. So that's my only disappointment. Otherwise, I'm loving the progress. after a bit of trial and error, I have finally decided what I'm going to do with the inside of the shapes. The scale was causing me some challenges. Either it seemed to be too dense or not dense enough, and hopefully now I have achieved that balance. So let me bring you down and do some crafting. This is the new style, which is kind of a irregular tessellation, giving that kind of circle vibes, but pretty easy, actually, made with little squares and triangles. Loving that, great scale. So now I just have to fill all of that space. I am 6 panels through this 8-panel sampler, and I've had a bit of a change of heart. I'm going to introduce not 1 but 2 new colours. I'm going to introduce something that I want to fade into the background for the Hitomezashi, and then I'm going to introduce like a really bright orange, because the peach I thought would be brighter, and it's really fading against that pink and yellow. You can see that definitely on the screen. So I still love the peach, but I do want to add a little bit more bright, and a bright orange will tie, I think, all of that together. So I kind of got a little bit of a theme. The yellows are kind of geometrics, like tessellations. The pink are just really dense repeats, and quite small repeats at that. And then the peach currently are that kind of line work. Can kind of see the lines and then the crosses on that. So loving where we're at. I really do need to get this finished, so I am gonna crack on with laying the foundations for that Hitomezashi, and then doing the surface stitches with that bright orange. I've officially put the last stitches on this, what I'm actually referring to now as like a line work sampler, and the last one I did was this Hitomezashi, kind of. I really didn't find that really worked on the scale I wanted. There's a lot of blank space and these ones are quite dense, but competition deadline looms. So here we are. So I'll bring you in close to show you each one of these designs, and then I'm going to get this off the frame and into a photo frame so it's competition ready. The first one then is this peach, and I love how the kind of teeth fit together, and it's a bit of an optical illusion trying to work out if there's a shape because they all flow into one another. Second, potentially, I think my second favorite, these are like flowers in hexagons, and I love how they just really intersect. My first attempt at Hitomezashi in the bright orange, and these are actually, so the lines went down and then I put the crosses in, and it reminds me a little bit of a feather pattern, I guess. My absolute undoubted favourite is this yellow at the top row, and it's kind of circles but also hexagons but also triangles and stars, well, plus signs, all tessellated. Absolutely love that, total favourite. Moving down to the yellow on the bottom row here, this is not quite how I expected it to look. It looks very angular, but it's a very similar design to the yellow in the top corner, but not as dense, and I don't think it works quite as well. So there's some diamonds and, you know, repeated sections and little stars. I'm a bit disappointed with that one. My least favourite, simply because it's just not anywhere near as dense as the others, is this second Hitomezashi. I do love the idea and I love the geometric element of it, but I really think it could have been denser. But I have run out of time and inspiration and patience. One of the very early ones I did was this crosses in peach, and again I love that. It's kind of a bit of an optical illusion, like it's peach friend in the corner. Can't really tell where one thing ends and one thing finishes, but there's a bit of a diamond happening, but they're interlocking diamonds. And then last but not means least is this last pink, and it was kind of a similar theme. As you can see, I've kind of got, you know, optical illusions, diagonals with the peaches. I've got the Hitomezashi in the oranges. So this was kind of a dense version of the original flowers, but different. So this is kind of mirrored and running diagonally as opposed to across. So that is each of the patterns. Let me get this into a frame so it's ready. I could be some time seam ripping this, so let me come back to you when I've got the tape off. Here is then the finished line work sampler, and it's quite difficult now, it's really shiny, but framed. I did pop some excess fabric just behind, just to give it a little bit of puffiness, and to make sure that it wasn't sitting on a hard cardboard. What do you think? Definitely not my regular colour choices. There is a bit of blue in the background, but I'm absolutely loving the colour combo, the line work, the sampling. I wonder what embroidery project I will try next. Hit me up with your suggestions in the comments, and I'll see you next week.